Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. Welcome to episode 19 of Post and Pints. Alongside Dre, Kyle, and Alex, I'm Justin. Matt is off this week taking some much-needed R&R. However, for episode 19, we do have not one, but two special guests, Stephen Ferrezza and Larisa Perino. Both Stephen and Larisa are members of the Empire Supporters Club for the New York Red Bulls. Stephen is also a capo for ESC and has a streak that we will definitely discuss tonight. Both of them are passionate soccer fans and fellow tailgaters and supporters of the New York Red Bulls. Two awesome people that, quite frankly, I wish I could see more of. Because even in the short time I've seen these two, they are both amazing human beings. Stephen and Larisa, thank you for joining us, and welcome to Post and Pints.
Welcome.
Thanks for having us. It's nice to be on a podcast. I've never done this before.
Oh, another Bob Cherry. Holy cow. We've got two.
No, I have my own podcast.
Made up into a closed game.
No, that's actually not how that went. It was the podcast was actually made up for an entirely different reason.
Yeah.
But believe it, this is actually my 100% first time on a podcast. Even though one is recorded in my house, I have never appeared on it.
Yeah, she's the disclaimer at the beginning of Off the Perch, but that's it.
I've never been on it. So.
All right. Well, as usual, our first topic is what are you drinking? We will go around the web chat circle, if you will, and I will keep my streak going here with water. As usual, I am the designated driver on this podcast. Stephen and Larisa,
why do
what
we
are you?
invite you?
I don't know. I just host and do outros. That's all I do.
You watch hockey and you don't drink beer. I don't know what's wrong with
I don't know either.
Justin.
One day. Stephen and Larisa, start us off. What are you guys drinking tonight?
I am drinking a Bolero Snort Hoofa Pilsner.
How ironic.
Ooh, I haven't tried that.
And I am drinking ESC vodka with Arizona watermelon and Country Time lemonade.
I was hoping you were going to say straight up.
Wow.
I was going to say this is
That's
why
weird.
Matt is not on the episode, because he knew that he was going to have to drink shot for shot of that vodka, and he was
Oh, there's like three
extremely afraid of
shots.
doing that.
It's that tumbler that they gave us.
Yes!
Wow.
I love that tumbler.
You
There's-
didn't go with the
there's
hat.
like-
Good for you.
There's like 3 shots in here.
God bless.
So
Dude, I have that tumbler at work, and every day I look at it, I'm like, I wish.
yeah, I peeled off the
Um,
label underneath it like an hour ago, and it says NYRB tumbler on the bottom. So now
Oh,
I'm mad
gross.
because that's just wrong.
Yeah.
Dre, what are you drinking? Mixed drink, maybe?
Nope. I got a beer today. I got,
All right.
wait. There it is. I got the same ones last week, the Bitburger. It's a German beer. And I'm just keep going with that.
Kyle, go ahead.
Do we want to take guesses before I?
No, we do this every week. We know what you're drinking.
Yeah, you're drinking Pabst Blue Ribbon. It's
I
right.
think
You
I'm
think
gonna
so
sit
this
this. I'm gonna sit this one out because I saw what you were drinking before we started rolling. So I'm gonna sit this out.
What is
Thank
what
you,
is- what
Dre.
is it?
I'm drinking Broken Skull IPA.
Wow.
Yeah.
Changing
Yeah.
it up.
El Segundo Brewing Company.
For once, I decided to put on a shirt and not drink PBR this week. You should be happy.
This is a rare occasion.
That's
I
because you
feel
like our
honored,
guests.
actually.
Yeah,
You
that's because you
should.
like our guests.
I
This
haven't
is like
seen
dress
Kyle
up for me.
shirt in weeks. I mean, I've seen him in his work shirt, but that's a different.
Those have holes in it. Those aren't
Yeah.
real shirts.
Alex, go on.
I'm changing it up. I have
Oh, boy.
Crook and Marker here, some spiked tea. This one's lemon flavored. The next one is raspberry flavored, and the next one after that, I don't think I'll taste it. So
Okay, great. Who's kicking us off with questions? Kyle, you're gonna take it away.
Yes, I will. So you mentioned you were drinking Bolero Snort Brewery, Larisa. So I will ask you. So there's something going on with ESC and that brewery for what was supposed to be this year.
Right.
Yeah.
So one of our members, Mark Matera, a longtime member of ESC, has been working for Bolero Snort for quite some time now. So when they opened the brewery, I was able to get down there and have some conversations with him. And, we worked out some stuff to try and bring some beer to tailgates and give people the opportunity to try some stuff out. This Hoofa Pilsner I'm drinking is one of the couple that we chose for our one and only tailgate that we actually were able to have.
Yeah. So much beer in the garage.
So I have plenty
So
to
that's
drink.
all
And
your house,
you say that as it's negative or something.
So that tells me next
Steve doesn't
episode.
drink beer.
I don't drink beer. I just drink liquor. So the garage is also
There's
full of
nothing
beer.
wrong with that.
We'll
Listen,
be
you
over
have-
after the podcast. We'll
Right, I was
just-
gonna say you have plenty of guys here that'll drive over, pick it all
I
up. for you.
was gonna say, so next week the episode is airing live from Steve's garage. Is that what
That's
we're doing?
yeah, that's pretty much what
pretty
it is.
much.
I would honestly welcome that. I definitely would be happy to throw a garage tailgate.
Do it.
We're
Steve
gonna
will cook some food.
yeah, we're gonna do a tailgate for that 10:30 p.m. start on a Wednesday.
At least we don't have a 9 a.m. game.
Yeah, but I'm off from work right now. I would kill to just wake up and watch a game and then have the rest of the day to be pissed off about the results.
See, I am not off from work, so I appreciate that the games are actually at
Yeah.
times I can watch.
True.
Can you use those words together in a sentence? I wish I could wake up.
Still
I'm
living in a
unfamiliar with
nightmare.
This concept.
Wah, wah.
All right. My question is how did you both navigate your way into becoming New York Red Bull fans? Also, background on how long you've been ESC members, stuff like that, part of the clubs and supporters clubs.
The scene.
Me
You
first.
go first.
So I first started paying attention to the Red Bulls in kind of a haphazard way, playing soccer on a whole bunch of different teams and just being handed tickets at events, getting told, here, come out to a Red Bull game. It was actually Metro at the time, but going to Giant Stadium and checking out games, not with the supporters, not doing
Right.
anything like that, just going and hanging out. I did not get season tickets until actually the second year of Red Bull Arena. And even then, I was not with the supporters. I was in 130. I was over in the corner. The main way I became involved with ESC was actually I wanted to go to an away game. I wanted to get on a bus and go down to DC, and I was by myself. There was nobody coming with me. And ESC was the bus I knew the most people on at the time and felt the most comfortable getting on, and so I did. And kind of the rest is history. It just all went from there. So-
Excellent.
I feel like we all have similar stories. There was just that one bus trip. That just,
Yeah, that's usually what happens there. Yeah.
It's like once you go on a bus trip, you can't go back. You have to like dive into it after that.
kind of like letting your friend drink an entire bottle of Everclear on the way to Yankee Stadium.
Things happen, man.
For-
Things
for-
happen.
For me,
Yeah,
it was
Oh,
the fact
been there.
that I was in 113 and I was the only drunk idiot really screaming, and then I'm looking over at like 102 in the other section. I'm like, I wish I was there.
Yep.
And then I made that switch.
So my path to Red Bull and 101 was I had season tickets in Yankee Stadium, the old Yankee Stadium. The new one doesn't count.
Preach, brother.
Bleacher
Preach.
creatures.
Preach. Thank God.
Um,
Thank God somebody knows.
So I got tickets in 2007, but like they didn't have full season ticket packages. So I had like a 46 game pack and then a bunch of smaller packs to like fill it out. And so my main seats were row P, section 39 seats, 20 and 21. And there's this woman sitting in front of me, and me and my friend would go to all the games, and we were just obnoxious, like 17-year-old assholes. And she was like, God, these kids are so annoying. And we ended up becoming friends, and they used to play a Josie Altador Adidas commercial in between innings at Yankee Stadium. And I would make fun of it constantly. I'd be like, fuck MLS. MLS is garbage. Who cares? Like, they're shit.
Have you
And-
ever watched a soccer game at that point?
Oh yeah. No. I watched like the World Cup. I watched like Liverpool games and Champions League and stuff like that. But like I was like, US soccer. I was like a dumb
Euro snobs.
old Euro snob.
Yeah, pretty much.
The irony of that is kind of hilarious.
Yeah. So after like 2 years of doing that, it was Jen Muller from ESC was like, just come to a game. We're in the new Yankee Stadium by now. She's like, just come to a game. Like, shut the fuck up. Come to one game. If you absolutely hate it, like, you never have to go again. But like, just come once. It's like, all right, fine. So she just like picked a game for me to go to at Giant Stadium. And like 2 days before, she texted me and was like, hey, go to like the dollar store or something, or a party store, and get fake money. I'm like, okay, like I don't know what's going on, but I'm in, sure. I had spent like 2 weeks. Yeah, I had spent 2 weeks just going through the ESC songbook, memorizing songs, because like I'm not gonna half-ass it. If I'm gonna be in the section, I'm gonna sing.
Absolutely.
100%. Absolutely.
Yeah. So
Don't be the tourist in the back.
Yeah. So like I miss Giant Stadium, but I don't miss having to take the subway to Jersey Transit to Secaucus and getting on a shuttle bus that dropped you in the far end of the lot, and then you have to sprint across to get to lot 16A for the tailgate for like the last hour. Like it really sucked.
Power.
But there was a guy there with garbage bags that everybody was putting fake money into. Okay, here's my fake money. And it was Kevin Brown, the friendly foe from Twitter. And so at Giant Stadium, the players used to walk out underneath 101. And it was David Beckham's first game back from his loan in Italy with Milan. And we dumped 3 bags of fake money on his head. And I turned to Jen, I'm like, I'm getting season tickets. Like, I'm in.
That's awesome.
And this is 2009. Like, I went to like 6 or 7 games, and I didn't see them win until the last game at Giant Stadium, 5-0 in the pouring rain. I had to throw my sneakers out because it rained so goddamn hard that game. But I finally saw them win. I was convinced I was jinxed. She's like, no, we suck. Like, we just don't win. It's fine.
You're gonna learn that pretty quick. Yeah.
So then I ended up getting season tickets at Red Bull Arena and been there ever since.
Well, I mean, here's the thing.
That's a hilarious journey.
In 09, you did get a gift though, because the Yankees did win.
The Yankees did win, yeah. I actually went to Game 1 and Game 5 against Philly and saw both losses.
I was just going to say, yeah, those were both L's, dude.
Yeah.
Maybe we should just not have you around, maybe.
Well, I've only ever been to 2 other World Series games. Game 4, Mets-Royals, when the Royals beat the Mets. And I was cheering for the Mets because my buddy's a Mets fan. I was like, you guys deserve it. And Game 6, 2003, when Josh Beckett threw a complete game to clinch the World Series. Last World Series game at Yankee Stadium. So I'm never going to a World Series game again.
Yeah, I don't want you to. I'll pay you not to go as a Yankee fan.
Yeah, no, exactly.
I'll buy you a garage full of beer. Just
you know what?
Yes.
Oh wait, no, I meant liquor.
Vodka.
Next time there's a Red Sox series, just go every game. Just for me.
No, don't do that.
Kyle's gonna buy you tickets to that.
Yeah.
Steve,
we're gonna win.
Who's next,
right.
Alex or Dre? You want to?
So let's talk about this tournament because we finally have soccer back. So Steve and Larisa, what are your opinions on this MLS tournament in Orlando? Are you for it? You like the structure? Is there a lot of stuff you want to complain about? Because I see it in your face. What's going on?
I'm so looking forward to them having to shut it down because Florida doesn't know how to just wear a mask. Like the entire state of Florida does not know how to wear a mask. They're just amazing. No, I think it's foolish. I think it goes against the point of the game. You're just going down to Disney World and playing in front of nobody.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the games count, but other games don't.
Yeah,
like if you don't get through the group stages, you just sit around for a month before the season restarts. It's really
then the regular season restarts, and that doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
Agreed that the description of the structure has been a little blurry.
Yeah, for sure. They have not been very open about it.
I really don't think they know what they're doing.
They're taking it day by day, just winging it.
Yeah, when they were like, oh, we're going to do like a random draw, and 45 minutes before the draw, they're like, Miami's playing Orlando. Wait, I thought it was random. Oh, everything else is random.
Everybody else is random.
Everything else is random. That's why, Red Bull's playing Atlanta. That's why LAFC's playing LA Galaxy, because it's random.
I did not like the system of the guys just picking the numbers. I'm like, I don't know. You could have found what the numbers are and what teams are on that piece of paper right before that meeting.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have ever watched the U.S. Open Cup draw, but it's always this one, like, very defeated-looking guy in glasses that just, like, really hates his life. and he just like is handed envelopes and opens them up. Like they should have hired him because I have a
more entertaining.
Yeah, I have a saved picture of this guy like holding a piece of paper, like, fuck yes, Minnesota.
We need a thumbnail for this episode, so please fucking send that to me because that would be great.
The straw wasn't depressing enough.
And then
no, it wasn't.
On top of all that, you have like the leader of one of the supporter groups for LAFC, and you imagine the shit he got when he drew LA Galaxy for his entire team. They have to now it's down on you. You pick the ball. So.
I was at work. My hands are in the air. I'm like, what the? This is rigged. This is rigged. My coworkers are looking at me like, what the fuck's wrong with you? I'm like, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, and then after that, he's like, oh yeah, these games, like, don't call it El Trafico. We'll call it whatever we want to call it.
It's El Trafico.
We are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of want Nashville to go all the way just so we can have another moment of that awkward Red Bull West Coast champion.
Yeah.
If you guys
I just want that to happen again.
If you guys each had to pick a Western Conference or Eastern Conference team to make it to the finals, who do you got?
Man.
Wait, like teams we like or just
like
total
someone to win it.
chaos?
Someone to
Don't
win
say
it. One
the
Eastern
Western.
team,
We know
one
you're lying.
Western team.
Yeah.
Oh God, I love chaos. So like, because they're giving the Supporter Shield Champions League slot over to the winner of this.
Wait,
I wanted to.
So that's this champion, the Supporter Shield slot. I thought it was the Open Cup slot that was going to them.
No,
Because
the
last
Open
week
Cup.
and no one knew.
Did they write that down?
no, it was in the MLS release originally.
Jamie!
They might have changed
Jamie!
it.
Because I've actually seen it
Not pulling
in two
it up,
different
fuck you.
articles.
Pull it up, Jamie.
Listed as two different
This
spots.
is something that you should
So
know.
I was
They
like,
said it. No, like I
Jamie,
saw
pull it
it.
up.
Hey, we only host a soccer podcast, and we're pretty up to date on
In his
everything.
defense, I
Except
have
this
seen
tournament's a
both ways.
nightmare.
No, because I
Yeah.
did hear that they are finishing the MLS Cup. The U.S. Open Cup, I'm assuming, is canceled since it has like second tier and third tier teams. So I assumed that they would still have a Supporter Shield, and the U.S. Open Cup spot would go. That was my guess. The U.S. Open Cup spot would go to this
USL
tournament.
doesn't have time with their 16-game season.
Yeah, but no, you have teams from like the third tier and all the
Yeah,
other.
I don't think you're
They
correct.
changed it. They actually did change it to the MLS Cup champion, Supporter Shield champion, Open Cup champion, and tournament champion. So that other
so they just added the
wild card
spot.
slot.
So
Well,
there's-
no, there was always 4, so it was like the best of the other conference gets in. So they took that. But
Okay.
still, it has to be a U.S. team. So I'm
Yeah.
hoping it's like Toronto versus Vancouver, just completely screw everything up. That now they've got to come up with a different winner.
Yeah.
We had at least two or three people in this podcast that we both chose Montreal and Toronto to get out of that group. So like no American teams getting out of that group.
Yeah.
Which would be pretty
Yeah.
rad.
Vancouver's like pretty much my favorite away day.
Yeah.
So like I always pick them for everything
Yeah.
because like we love going out there and we have such a great time with their
Such a
fans
great
that I'm
time.
like, hey, you guys can win something.
I once,
Yeah.
I once
Please.
drank 3 straight bars on 3 consecutive nights out of Southern Comfort in Vancouver. Like just drank them all dry. They were like, nobody orders this. I'm like, I'll be back in August. Just
We
You're
also
right.
That's an away day.
we also stumbled out of a bar in Vancouver and took a train ride back to our hotel
where was the hotel?
in Metro
It was
Town
in Metrotown.
that we only vaguely remember really anything of that night, but we absolutely remember getting off the train and turning to each other and go, how did we not just get mugged or something? Like
Canada.
we were asleep. Like
Yeah.
it was a wonderful and bad night.
They're too
It sounds a
they're
lot like
too
me and
polite
Alex
to
in
do.
Atlanta last year.
Ooh,
God.
Ooh.
I don't
I got-
remember most of that trip.
Was it last year in Atlanta where I got so drunk I bought a Sacramento Kings jersey in the middle of the night?
Yes.
Yeah.
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 I just
Yes,
remember
I-
disappearing for like 5 hours.
Who
and
was
then
on the back?
fighting in the bathroom.
It was oh God, I think it was is it Bagley that plays there? It was like a former Duke
Listen,
player.
I don't care about
I don't know. Like, if I could have got a Mike Bibby jersey, I would have. I just remember arguing with somebody about the Sacramento Kings LA Lakers matchup from like 2004, where
Yes.
the Kings got screwed, and then the next thing I know, like the following morning, I get a confirmation email that my Sacramento Kings jersey shipped. So
Yes. Yes, I have wonderful photo evidence of the extreme hangovers in mass in the Atlanta Stadium the following day. there were a lot of very, very
that game was at like 1
tired people.
Yeah.
So bad.
Those midday games are rough.
Yeah.
Especially if you win too.
Especially if you're
Then you go
drinking
out
all night.
and you drink even more. But then if you lose, I guess you kind of drink more regardless because you lost too. So, Dre, do you want to ask the wonderful question?
I do, because I haven't ran into you guys very often at games, but when I heard this story, I thought it was absolutely crazy. So I want to get your insight on it.
I'm
so
sure
for those
Steve's
of
never
you,
talked about this before.
No,
Right.
Steve's never discussed
There's
it
only
before.
been,
There's definitely not an
articles-
article written.
This is an
not-
exclusive.
Right. There's definitely not articles all over the place about it. But for those of you who don't know, Steve has a pretty awesome streak going of, I don't even know the exact number. All I know is that it's 100+ consecutive games, home and away, CONCACAF, US Open Cup, MLS Cup, regular season, everything. All the games, home and away. And that's just super wild. What's the streak at? How do you manage to make all those games? And just, tell us some stories of how that came to be.
So the streak is currently at 137 games.
Good God.
The first game was October 1st, 2016 it was a home game against Philly.
Because it was immediately after that.
Yeah, there was like a CCL game in like Guatemala, and I had just started a new job, a new position, so I couldn't get the time off. But the reason I could do this is I work for an airline. So flying is not necessarily easier, but it's cheaper.
Right.
So I can only fly if I can get a seat on the plane, which doesn't always happen. Larisa and I actually had a streak that
We started together.
we went 34 games, and then they moved that Portland away game up from Sunday to Friday because of the whatever reason. I don't remember.
It was TV rights.
Yeah, it was like the TV rights changed. So they moved the game up 2 days, and it was the same weekend as the solar eclipse that was passing through. So Larisa got stuck trying to fly out of Minneapolis. She was in Ohio, got to Detroit, flew to Minneapolis, and couldn't connect anywhere.
Wow.
I got the last seat.
I eventually just flew back to Detroit.
Yeah. I got the last seat on a flight out of JFK to Seattle. And then in like 35 minutes, ran through the airport and connected down to Portland.
Oh, wow.
And then like caught a flight out after that game back to Minneapolis and back home again. So like I think I was in Portland for like 6 hours total.
The other interesting part of that is that was actually the same week as the Tuesday night Open Cup game at Cincinnati.
Yeah.
So we were in Cincinnati.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
And I went back home for work, and
I stayed in Ohio.
Oh, God.
It's not.
So
Yeah.
it was a busy week.
So
That sounds crazy.
Yeah, so like my 50th game was that weird CCL game against the team from Honduras, but it was played in Costa Rica behind closed doors.
So that was only game 50.
That was game 50.
Okay, I thought that was way later, but yeah, like for people who don't know, that game was played on like a neutral ground because I guess there was was it Guatemala or El Salvador that team was from?
No, it was Honduras.
Honduras.
The fans shot. They were in like that weird CONCACAF league that like feeds into this. They shot fireworks and hit a player the previous year. So they had 6 games behind closed doors and at neutral sites.
Well, no, it was political unrest.
It was political unrest.
Moved
Yeah,
it
that's what I was gonna
to
say. So they had to
Costa
move
Rica.
it to a neutral.
And then
country.
they had to play behind closed doors as well.
So I became a writer for Once a Metro and got a press pass and went down for the game.
Sly dog.
And that was another one where like I landed at like 11 in the morning and took a 2 a.m. flight back home again. Like I was just in and out because I don't really speak any Spanish. So me being by myself in a Spanish speaking country is very comical.
Yeah.
Do
they like look at you weird when you're like, I'm here for the game, and they're like, what do you mean?
Yeah, so like customs didn't even want to let me in. Like they were like, where are you staying? I'm like, I'm not staying. I have a flight home at 2 a.m. And they're like, but where are you staying? I'm like, no, I'm not staying.
I'm not staying here.
I'm here for football. And they're like, there is no football.
Yeah, they didn't believe there was a game.
I'm like, I take out my like credentials, that like the paperwork they gave me. I'm like, no, really, I'm going. And finally, this girl came over and asked what was going on, and I told her, and she's like, oh, you're fine. And takes my passport, stamps it, hands it back to me. It's like, go ahead. I was like, yes.
Thank God. Wow.
But yeah, so like I was there for 14 hours. Took a 2 a.m. flight back to Fort Lauderdale. Flew home. Went to a Rangers game. And got asked if I wanted to run around on the ice, like in between the second and third period. I was like, sure. So I had no sleep, nothing, and it was like a giant hamster ball.
Yeah.
That you had to like run around the ice, and I ended up wiping out. And then after we were done, like puked my guts up because I had like barely eaten, hadn't slept, like absolutely exhausted. So that was number 50. So that was like, what was that? The 2018
That's a slightly
season?
more positive story than number 100.
Yeah. Number 100.
Let's hear that one.
Gets better.
Number 100 was the second leg against Santos Laguna in CCL last year.
Okay.
We entered the game down 2-0 in the aggregate, scored 2 goals in the first 8 minutes. So I'm sitting in the press box, like trying not to celebrate because like you can't celebrate in the press box.
Yeah.
And then they give up 4 goals in 10 minutes.
In the 70th, yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to like jump off the roof at that point. So again, I was by myself, got there that morning.
Don't speak Spanish.
Don't speak Spanish.
Don't speak Spanish.
So like by the 90th minute, like I had closed my laptop, packed up, like ready to go. I'm not even going to go to the mix zone at this point because like, what am I going to say?
Yeah.
Like, great job. So I just like the final whistle blew and I walked out to the gas station to get an Uber, and like the guy finally picks me up and doesn't really speak any English and I don't really speak any Spanish, but like we could kind of converse. So he was asking me if I was at the game. I was like, yeah, the game. He's like, oh, the score. And I'm like, Santos 4, Red Bull 2. He's like, oh no.
Yeah.
And he was like, you Red Bull? See, Red Bull. Oh no.
And you're like, I understand.
Just get me to the airport already.
Yeah, I was like, Red Bull 2-0. Y Santos 4 goals. Oh no. Yeah. Oh no's right. And we pull up, there's so much traffic and there's like this like van full of little kids, and I'm not wearing anything Red Bull related. Like I'm just sitting there. We got the windows down, and these van full of kids are just chanting Red Bull, and he just like rolls up the window for me and turns on the air conditioning. And, like he asked me where I'm from. I'm like New York. Oh no. Yep. When did you get here? This morning. Oh no. When do you leave? Tomorrow morning. Oh no, yeah, man, I know. Like this sucks.
Episode 19. Oh no.
At least that guy was sympathetic.
Yeah.
I remember.
Like, give me a hug. He felt so bad for me.
I remember watching that game on TV, and it was the same thing you said. We're up 2-0, and then it's like the 70th minute. We give up a goal, and then we give up another, and then we give up another. And these are like they're scoring some worldly goals here. And then after the third goal, I turn it off. And I'm like, screw this. I'm not watching this anymore. Let me go watch the Devils game. The Devils game is in the third period. We're winning 4-2. I'm like, okay, cool. We're with 1 period left. We're up 4-2. This is going to be fine. And then we lose that game like 7-4. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, come on. Come on.
No sports for you.
I remember that because I literally did the same thing, and I was just fucking angry.
Yeah, that goal, Santos scored like from 10 yards beyond midfield.
Yeah,
over Robles. Like it was.
That's what I'm saying. Like, those goals were not even like it was at that point anything that were throwing up was going in, and I'm just like, God damn. I'm like,
and, like to rub salt in the wounds. My flight was delayed by like 5 hours. It was supposed to be at 6 a.m. back to Dallas with American Airlines, and it was delayed by 5 hours, and then that was like the night before a windstorm came through Dallas. So the jet bridges were blown off at certain gates. And
somebody was angry at you that game.
Yeah.
Holy
and
crap.
like land we land and like I check my phone and the FAA just announced that the 737 MAX is like shut down. Nobody could fly it. And now I'm stuck in Dallas trying to get home. I landed at LaGuardia at like 11:30 at night from like starting at 6 a.m. Like it was absolute.
I mean, that's dedication right there. Like you can't, like, I don't, the only other fan I could think of that's that wild is the one I think it's a Vancouver Whitecaps fan that like also shows up alone at games and has his own banner and stuff. He travels over the place. That's the only other guy I could think of that goes that hard.
Larisa.
I mean, there's me.
Larisa.
Yeah.
She has
other team. I meant yes, Larisa, of course.
She has only missed 10 games
in the streak,
and like 6 of them were like CCL away games.
Yeah. Foreign countries.
Like just random ass places. Like she hasn't gone to, what do we have, 3 games in Mexico at this point? Like, you haven't gone to the Mexican
I didn't go to Mexico. I didn't go to Costa Rica.
DR game.
I did go to the DR, which was amazing.
Yeah.
We had a blast with that game.
Yeah, there's the Guadalajara game. I'm guessing that was one of them. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Have both of you guys been to all of the U.S. and Canadian stadiums, like all the MLS stadiums?
So we haven't been to. We were hoping to get to the new Minnesota one, but then they canceled the season right before it.
We were. They canceled it on Thursday. We were supposed to get there Friday.
So we haven't been there.
And obviously Inter Miami, because that's
Miami and Nashville, just those 3. But
and Soldier Field.
Now that Chicago moved, like we got to get back to Chicago.
What are each of your favorite away stadiums?
I mean,
come on.
Yankee Stadium, no.
I think that's at the bottom. Yeah, it's bottom of the list.
Wait, Yankee Stadium isn't the greatest experience for a soccer game?
For soccer or baseball?
No.
We always say that there's multiple different ways to choose like a favorite away. There's obviously like places we go where we have lots of friends there and like they host us, so it's amazing. And then there's like places we go where like dealing with the front office and like the security and all that is like great, so like it's an easy trip and stuff like that. And then it's way easier to name like the places we hate going.
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty easy.
Yeah.
That's pretty easy.
I think like the best stadium for like views and away days, because you're at altitude and you can just drink 2 beers and like be plastered, is Salt Lake City. Like going to Real Salt Lake, that was our last game. Like it was just the 2 of us out there. But where they put the away fans, you have like the perfect view of the mountains off in the distance. Like if the game sucks, you just like look at mountains instead.
Yeah.
It's really fun. Dealing with staff, DC. We have a great relationship.
Their security isn't as much fun as it used to be.
Yeah, we have a great relationship with like who we've been dealing with for DC for security and stuff, and they like take care of us and do us right.
It's funny because, for example, one of the best places to go in terms of dealing with the staff and security is actually Montreal.
Yeah.
They are amazing. They treat everyone just really well. They're all about safety. They do a really good job. Pretty much the worst place you can go in terms of opposing fans is Montreal. So like it's a balance.
Yeah.
It's a balance.
Yeah, we held there for like an extra hour after a game.
We got chased back to the train by opposing fans once. But the security guy that loved us because we all sang the Canadian national anthem with them before the game. So he thought we were great. Accompanied us to the train and was basically ready to lay down his life.
Yeah.
Like this guy
awesome.
was gonna fight somebody on our behalf.
Yeah, the following year they held us for an hour to wait for cops in with assault rifles to show up and escort us out like a secret way out of the stadium back to the train. Like
they worked very hard.
Yeah.
Nice. The adventures, man. That sounds like a lot of adventures right there.
Yeah. If you can only go to one away game, I would suggest going to Vancouver.
Yeah.
Vancouver, the city is amazing. The people are amazing. The stadium is really unique. There's like no advertising or anything in it. It's very odd, but like it's a fun city to go to.
You're never going to see a good game there.
No.
You don't have to worry about it being a good game. Like get as drunk as you want. Like you don't need to.
enjoy the city.
Yeah, if you ever get to Vancouver, go to Moose's Down Under. It's an Australian karaoke bar in a basement.
Yeah.
In Canada.
Fantastic.
In Canada.
We're adding it to the show notes. Definitely adding to the show.
But for us personally, pretty much our favorite place to go is Chicago.
Yeah.
Over the years, we've become really, really good friends with their supporters. When they come out for games, they stay with us. When we go out there, they will throw us tailgates. A couple of years ago, they were actually
they were sanctioned.
They were sanctioned and serving and banned from having banners or anything at all in their sections. So they had all decided they were going to boycott the game. And they found out we were coming out, and instead of boycotting the game, they came to the game, they threw us a tailgate, and then they came into the game, and instead of going to their section, they stood in the concourse behind our section and just hung out.
Yeah,
that's cool.
And I may have snuck in
one of their flags,
an Ultras Red Side on tour banner to hang next to the ESC.
That's what I was thinking. I thought the story was gonna go that like you guys snuck their banners in for them, and then they went and you brought them their banners.
Yeah, no, we hung it up.
No, we hung it with our banner side by side.
And then MLS security saw it and
things happened.
Yeah, it got a little dicey there, but they were like, hey, that wasn't pre-approved. I was like, oh, somebody just handed it to me. I thought it was one of our banners. I'm sorry, I could take it down.
Yeah.
Smooth.
Sorry.
All right, so we've gone over your worst away game, and I'm pretty sure we've probably covered it, but do you have any away games that are like probably like the crazier away games, like your favorite story?
Open Cup Cincinnati.
Open Cup Cincinnati. Hands down, greatest away game ever. Down 2-0 in the 75th minute and coming back 3-2.
In a sold out stadium of 30,000 people?
Yeah,
34 or something like that. They put us down in the lower corner. They gave us no security whatsoever.
Nice.
They just said, you're on your own.
Have a good time.
Yeah, basically.
They were like, but don't curse. And we're like,
yeah,
what?
they're very serious about the not cursing, and listening to an unbelievably excited, screaming stadium go dead silent.
Always the best. Always the best.
Yeah.
The
Nice.
60 of us who managed to make it to that game on a Tuesday on very little notice.
Yeah.
And I honestly, I don't know anyone who was at that game who doesn't put it as their top game.
Yeah.
I could imagine.
Watching it at home, obviously, and we have amazing games that we've been to. The first Supporters Shield win at home against Chicago was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Just finally doing something.
Yeah.
That was amazing. But
the 7-0 game.
The 7-0.
7-0 game is
Yeah.
up there. But this isn't technically a game, but after we won the Shield in 2018, I'm also the president of the Supporters Shield Foundation. So the Shield was still in Toronto. And after we won, I was debating, do I just take off work tomorrow and fly up and go get it? Or I was going to get in my car that night and drive
all the way up.
Yeah.
But we ran into Florian Velo and asked him after the game. And he was like, no, it's fine. Just leave it up there. It'll get here when it gets here. And I was like, no. So Wednesday, it was a 7 a.m. flight from Newark with Air Canada up to Toronto. Again, customs didn't want to let me through because I was sweating bullets. I jumped in an Uber, drove to the trophy shop, because the trophy shop that does the Supporter Shield is the same one that does the Stanley Cup. So it's in Toronto.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we went fancy with it. So I told the Uber guy, I'm stay here. And ran inside, took a picture of the Shield, put it in the case, jumped back in the Uber, and got on an 11 a.m. flight back to Newark with it, and just came home and sat with it at home.
That's crazy.
I've got it.
Oh,
Did you check it, or did you bring it on the plane with you?
No, I checked it. I had to check it.
It's bulky and heavy.
Luckily, they didn't charge me in like an oversized bag fee because it should have. It was like 60 pounds.
Yeah.
I actually have the old case next to me right now because we bought it last year.
That kind of ruined my image. I kind of pictured Steve sitting on a plane, just crouching this thing.
Fetal position. I'm not letting it go.
And the thing was, nobody knew I was up there except for Larisa and one person in the front office. And so, like, I'm tweeting like it's a normal day, but like I tweet out a picture from the airport. And if you zoom in, you could see the Air Canada logo on it. But I was tweeting, and it was like every first word of the tweet is like, of each tweet is like, I'm in Toronto to get the Shield.
Nice. Very nice.
There, but nobody figured it out.
That is hilarious. That's great.
Yeah.
So we've heard some fan stories. Is there anything that gets weirder, like your most interesting capo stories? Or board member stories, or what have you?
Most interesting.
No, you don't have to use names. That's okay.
What
You don't have to name names, but most interesting, craziest. Like,
Like what we asked.
Stories.
We asked Adam Booth from the Sons of Ben was like, what was his favorite moment on the capo stand, like that he got to be on the stand for?
Oh man.
Or you can top shorts guy getting maced.
I was gonna say, in terms of, you know, craziest board member stories, it's definitely that day that we got assaulted coming out of the subway at Yankee Stadium, and then assaulted again leaving the game at Yankee Stadium.
Always a good time when you go there. It's always a good time.
Shorts guy definitely gave you guys a shout out for bringing him to Dunkin' Donuts and putting milk in his eyes. So he did tell that story, and he gave you guys lots of props for that.
And then I got called a homophobic slur by a NYPD detective when I asked for EMS. He told me to fuck off back to New Jersey. I'm like, motherfucker, I'm from Queens. And he didn't like that. I had to be dragged down to the subway before I fought him right there. I
was hiding in the background because I had just torn my ACL a couple months before and couldn't run away from people.
Yeah. I was Perch for first half of the first Shield game. So Mike McGee scores that goal to put Chicago up 1-0, and I want to die. That was probably the most scared I've ever been on the Perch. And then Henry tied it up with that ridiculous chip goal. And that was probably the first time I breathed that day. But the craziest, I think, being on the Perch was second leg against Columbus. It was me, Kevin Brown, and Raheem on the ESC Perch. And I did the whole game. And it's the end of the game. We need one goal. And it was that Bradley Wright Phillips little dink, but it was in slow motion. I swear to God, it took half an hour for that ball. Just bounce wide.
It definitely did.
That was heartbreaking. But yeah, I think between that and the shit show that was the Open Cup final in
Kansas City. That was the most horrifying game ever.
After the game, I had multiple people coming up to me telling me that they were going to beat the shit out of me the next time we got to Red Bull Arena.
The best was getting pulled aside by someone from the Red Bull front office during the first half, I think.
No, it was second half.
And being told, you need to get down there. Steve and Choopy are probably going to fight each other.
Yeah, Choopy and I almost got into a fist fight in the second half.
It was just everybody. It was everybody. It wasn't Steve and Choopy. It was literally everybody.
Yeah, it was 95 degrees with 80% humidity that day. They ran out of bottled water. We're losing. Tempers were flaring.
Yeah, Matt was at that game, and also Shorts Guy told stories of that game as well.
Yeah, that was a
brutal day.
Yeah.
I remember vividly after the game being the last one in the stadium because I was trying to make sure everybody got out and everybody was safe, and a security guard was still standing with me by the section as we made sure all the banners and stuff were cleaned up. And he looks at me and he's like, "Okay, you got everything?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm good." And I literally pulled a cigarette out of my pack. And he's like, "You're not serious, right?" He's like, "You're gonna wait, right?" And I literally lit it up right in front of him. And he was like, "Okay, now throw me out."
Make my day.
He just looked so defeated. He was so sad.
Oh God. That's great. That's hilarious.
I want to know where you guys put Portland up on your list, because when we went out last year and we were singing just dumb songs, I forgot, like Backstreet Boys,
Seattle,
Ocean Avenue.
Seattle.
When we did the Seattle Portland trip, that was a blast, and that was like my first real road trip away experience for the Red Bulls.
Yeah, that was the Seattle game was so much fun.
Long distance away games get very silly on purpose because
this group still talks about the "We all dream of a team of Celsius."
Oh yeah, that started in Vancouver at the CCL.
It did.
And the Vancouver fans were like,
ago.
"Wow, you guys really like Celsius."
No, you don't understand.
I just remember the group in Columbus losing you and you going on for another 10 minutes without anybody else singing with you.
Well, he gets into once he starts with the camera guy.
You just gotta go.
There's all these extra people that are Celsius.
He kept going, and we're just crying next to him, and he's like,
Portland, like, we have a decent relationship with like some of the Portland like board members. So like that game that Larisa couldn't get to, I had the Against Racism, Against Fascism scarves that the two of us started, and they sell huge out in Portland and Seattle. Obviously, it's the Pacific Northwest.
And Vancouver, for that matter.
Yes, clearly.
But we had a full box shipped out to Portland to meet me there to their fan laden. They have like their own clubhouse, and I sat there.
They have everything we wish we had.
Yeah, they have a garage. That they can go. It's crazy. But I met up with them there, and before the game, sat in the fan laden, and there was like 30 people lined up to buy scarves at that point.
Oh man!
So like, we'll go out there and hang out with them in their TIFO warehouse or at the fan laden, or like they'll take us to the bar and buy us shots. So like we have a decent relationship out there. Portland's obviously weird.
Of course, that's their MO. But
but when we went out there,
it's a good time. It's a good time.
Yeah, when we went out there last year, like we would go out drinking late and like cross the river, like walk across the bridge to like go to Cider Riot or another bar. And every time we came back across, there was this 24/7 shitty pizza joint with like a little window where you could buy slices.
They were literally handing you a slice like out the little tiny.
And we probably stopped there like 2 or 3 times while we were out there, just getting drunk pizza, like waking up the next morning with like 4 slices of pizza in the hotel room.
Nice.
What is going on?
It was amazingly bad. It was amazingly bad, but just right.
Hell's Books was fun though. We got lost.
Yeah, we spent way too much time in the bookstore.
Yeah.
Portland's a good time. I mean, obviously, the trip out this year was a lot of fun in Portland. The best part of that game was when we were doing silence at the beginning in conjunction with their supporters, and someone in our group calls down to me, "But Larisa, what do we do if we score in the first however long, 3 minutes?"
I remember that. Yeah.
And I yelled back, "We won't have to worry about that."
Yeah.
And they scored with like 5 seconds
like
left.
right into the game.
And we all just kind of like stood there for 5 seconds and then sang.
Yeah.
So
That's
that was a good time.
Yeah, our first trip out to Portland was actually, we were in Seattle. What was that? Would that have been 2017? Yeah, 2017. We were playing Seattle for their home opener, and the night before Portland was playing Houston. And we were like, fuck it, let's drive down to Portland and go to the game.
We hadn't been to the stadium
and
yet.
we found this place. What was the burger place called?
Killer Burger.
Killer Burger. They had $5 punch drinks, but they had one that had Everclear in it.
Oh,
awesome. So they were like $5 shooters.
Yeah. No, they were little balls. Yeah.
That's really good.
But they $50 worth of drinks later.
And then we walked to the stadium while Steve at one point was singing
My Puke is Red.
Yeah.
You get to a good point in a party when your puke is red.
You gotta add that to the ESC chant list.
Yeah, and then
we found out that Portland had full bars in their stadium.
Yeah, so
I thought you were gonna say you found out that his puke is red.
It definitely was.
It definitely was. It was a very red drink. But we found the full service bar as soon as we walked in, so I ordered like 3 screwdrivers and asked for a large cup and just poured them all in and continued drinking. And then we had a 3-hour drive back to Seattle that I fell asleep probably 15 minutes into.
Roughly 15 minutes. Nice. But you did spend the first 15 minutes playing DJ with mostly George Michael. So it worked out.
Oh, hey, good times. Good times.
Yeah.
So
the pressing questions, Kyle. This is something that we discuss with every guest because it's apparently us versus the world.
I just can't believe we're about gonna.
I know
we're gonna do this with Steve because this is gonna be another hour-long episode.
I know we got to keep it short. We got to keep it short because we're trying to wrap it up.
I'm getting ready to get mad. All right.
Let's do this. So
my body is ready.
Taylor ham or pork roll?
Oh, it's fucking Taylor ham.
You're not even from Jersey.
I'm not even from Jersey, but it's
Thank you, Larissa. Thank you.
Is it Kleenex or tissues? Is it Tylenol or acetaminophen? It's fucking Taylor ham, and that's it.
It's pork roll, my guy.
It's definitely Taylor ham.
Sprinkles or Jimmy?
Oh, both of you.
Sprinkles. Jimmy's get the fuck out, dude.
Yeah.
It's Taylor ham. You like Liverpool and Tottenham. Oh my god.
You're not even from here. Just get off my planet, dude. Fuck Jimmy's, dude. What the fuck?
Keep in mind though, like Steve is from Queens, so basically everything he knows about Jersey, I taught him. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Well,
we usually keep it in a counter for everybody that's on for pork roll Taylor ham, but we already discussed this on previous episodes that we would ask him, but he's not going to be included because he's technically not from Jersey.
I'm pretty sure Shorts Guy actually warned us about asking this question.
Right. No. Yes, he did.
We can't not ask it though.
All right. Follow up.
All right. Does Central Jersey exist?
No, Central Jersey does not exist.
Get the fuck out! I want to go to bed. Can we hang up now?
We're almost done. We're almost done. It's okay.
Larissa, back us up here.
She's not gonna back you up.
Everything south of Newark Airport is South Jersey, and everything north of Central Park is upstate New York. That's it.
Central Park. I was gonna say like Westchester County, but okay.
Oh no, I have this running bit that when somebody argues.
So Harlem.
Harlem
is upstate New York.
You know what? Now it's everything above Canal Street. I'll keep going.
Wow.
Like we'll make it lower and lower. Everything north of Boca Raton is upstate New York. That's it.
Just keep saying things. It'll be everything above Red Bull Arena.
Yeah. Oh God.
Larissa,
don't tell me you're a Central Jersey denier also.
I mean, to be honest,
just give us a little slice. Just give us a little slice of Central
I can honestly say that I never even considered the possibility of Central Jersey existing until this became an argument.
Wow.
So
you don't even exist on our planet.
I'm assuming you're a northerner.
We're all just fake to you.
I am as north of Jersey as it can be.
Yeah.
You know.
Here's what I think. I think North Jersey people think Central Jersey doesn't exist. Central Jersey, obviously, we know where we're at. And then South Jersey probably is more amenable to like, yeah, this is kind of a Central Jersey. But the Northerners will refuse. The Northerners will refuse.
I've always been told Central Jersey is just for people from South Jersey that don't want to say they're from South Jersey.
Even though they root for the Flyers and every other.
Can I tell you the cutoff? The cutoff from Central to South is where you start getting Flyers fans or you start getting Eagles fans. So it goes from about 78 to about 195. Those are the two cutoffs. Everything above 78 is north. Everything below 195 is south.
Do you know the line? Because
can we at least agree that everything west of Denville is Pennsylvania?
Yeah,
sure.
That I can kind of get behind.
Okay.
That I can completely get behind.
We could merge. I mean, I think we should just go back to East Jersey, West Jersey, and call it a day.
Wow. All right.
Which is funny. That's how it used to be. But yeah.
We're gonna start a chant next time we have a game. In 2021.
The one thing that really bothered me about the whole North, Central, and South Jersey thing was when the governor was putting out like what is where, and I think it was like Ocean County was considered part of Central Jersey, and I'm like, no, that's South Jersey. Like,
right.
Like whether we want to say Central Jersey exists, like that's not central. Like
no, like we're talking about like where we are, like New Brunswick, that area. That's.
I was just down there delivering vodka yesterday.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Next time, say hi.
Well, we'll just segue right into what's pissing you off this week. Steve not dropping off vodka.
You got place orders anytime.
hit me up.
We got 400 bottles in the garage.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, we actually did. It's a custom batch of vodka for ESC's 25th anniversary.
Right.
So it was 480 bottles of 25th anniversary vodka made from wheat and Empire apples from Union Grove Distillery up in the Catskills.
Nice.
Excellent vodka. Like, it's amazing. I dropped off 2 bottles at Matt's. He was like, yeah, just like leave them on the porch. I was like, okay. And I'm getting the vodka out and somebody pulls into the driveway. I'm like, I'm just going to hand it to this person because I'm not going to walk this out.
No, who was it? Who was it? Describe
I
it.
have no idea.
He didn't ask.
No,
He's like, hey,
was
man,
it an
here's
older
some liquor.
Spanish woman? Was it
no,
a younger Spanish lady?
no, it was like another white guy. Like,
Assuming his
Not
dad.
no,
Was
it
this,
wasn't
was
Matt.
it East Brunswick? It might have been his brother.
Yeah, I think it
Probably
was
his brother or his dad.
Okay.
To be honest.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's probably.
And I was like, hey, Matt told me to drop these off. And he's like, Matt told you to drop them off? I'm like, yeah, here you go. And just drove away.
Okay.
That was like a random neighbor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It was the.
It was like the wrong
Yeah, it was the
driveway.
DoorDash guy.
Yeah. That's good.
It's like, I don't even know a Matt.
Yeah.
All right.
But I'll
Who
take
wants to-
vodka.
Who wants to start it off? Dre, you want to go?
No, I'm gonna pass for now.
Oh, you're gonna
What do you
pass.
mean? What do you mean
You
you're
can't
gonna
just
pass?
fucking pass.
Just
You cannot
fucking get-
pass.
Just get fucking mad.
did.
What are you mad about, Andrew? Go.
Come on,
Go.
Trey.
Go.
What am I mad
Come on,
about?
Trey.
Go.
Trey.
Okay,
You know,
okay.
Trey.
The last question. How do you not prepare for it every week?
I'm mad that I haven't done anything wrong on this podcast for like 4 weeks and they still call me Trey, which, you know, okay, when I would mess up, fine, I get Trey. But I literally have made no mistakes.
Oh,
None.
Oh,
I edit this
his
shit,
feelings.
And yet somehow Dre turns into Trey and I am forever stuck with this.
I'm kind of mad that he won't just accept his new name.
Right.
Kyle, I have to get rid of that Christmas gift we got him.
Oh, is that?
Jersey, the jersey.
Uh,
He's not
Yeah.
gonna wear it.
Yeah,
Did you
he's
get
probably
him
not
a
gonna like it.
Trey Dole?
Tree?
Yeah, yeah.
Justin.
Screw you guys.
Wanna hear from you?
To be honest with you, I really don't have much.
Here's the guy.
So tomorrow I have what we call town hall meeting for my company, a company I've worked for about 7 years now, and I'm getting really tired of it. So we're having like 300 people on this town hall meeting, and if I get the "What do you think, Justin?" I don't think they want me to answer. So we'll see where that goes tomorrow. But I guess that's one thing pissing me off is my job. So
Yeah.
Kyle?
So mine is job related as well. I don't know where I can progress from where I'm at right now. So, like,
oh, you're
I
at the
tell
you're
my
at the glass
boss to-
ceiling.
I literally tell my boss to go fuck himself, and I tell him that he should probably just drop dead on a daily basis. Like, how can I convey more that I don't care about him or his company? Like, than I already do.
The
He
fact
still
that you
thinks I
still
give a
have a
shit,
job,
and I don't understand what else I can do.
the fact that he hasn't fired you fucking baffles me.
I
dude.
literally
It
asked him.
baffles me. You told me stories of you getting into fights with this guy. I'm like, how? How?
I've thrown large sodas at this dude's head. I've kicked in his car. I don't know what else I have.
You
to
are
do.
such a disgruntled employee.
The day that Kyle
I'd
gets
hire you.
fired, the
Baffles
day that Kyle gets fired, he'll like show up happy as all hell. He'll just be
Alright.
smiles all day.
Fucking
It'll be like the greatest day of his life.
Racks of PBR, like let's fucking
No
get
shirt. He's
boys.
just ready to party.
It'll be Kyle. What are you mad about? Nothing.
Dude, he'll be
The
like,
world
guys,
is a beautiful
guys, I
place,
just got
man.
fired. It's great.
I literally asked him, "Who do you have to blow to get fired around here?" And he just looked at me and went, "What does that mean?" All right.
I'm sorry, Kyle.
Uh,
Alex, did you all lounge back? Really relaxing?
I'm very relaxed. I'm enjoying my drink here, but what's pissing me off this week? It's my birthday's coming up, and my girlfriend's birthday's also coming up. We have our birthday's about a week apart, and absolutely nothing is still open around in New Jersey for us to like do for fun. So it looks like our birthdays are going to be spent either watching Netflix or doing something really boring.
Why don't you guys do some like arts and crafts or something? Should like sew something. So
you guys remember how to do like
Love
macaroni
sweater.
paintings or something like that?
Last week we got so bored we actually made a a blanket fort in my room, and we got like little burners and we made s'mores. It was actually kind of, but still, can't do
almost
shit
only burned down the house, but it was a good time.
No, fuck the house.
S'mores, man.
Can't go out, but no, we can't go out drinking. We can't go out partying. We can't really do anything. So it's kind of like a bummer. That's kind of what's pissing me off this week.
I feel you.
Can I recommend Shots Checkers?
Oh, Shots Checkers.
That sounds
We
fun.
got roundabout between our birthdays, which happened during lockdown. We got really bored and we created Shots Checkers.
Yeah,
And
so
it's very apologetic checkers.
yeah. You need,
It's also a good way to sell your vodka. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying it's a good way to go through 480 bottles of vodka.
Plays perfectly with ESC vodka. Just
It's a lot of fun.
highlight the label.
Shots Checkered, sponsored by.
Yeah.
I was like half down through my shots and like very much feeling it, and I make a move, and Larissa's like, "You could take that one back." And I'm like, "No, it's fine." And she like triple jumps me. She's like, "I am so sorry."
Sorry. Well, that should be an illegal move. You shouldn't be able to double jump or triple jump in Shots vodka.
Why
Oh,
not?
God.
Hey man,
Hey,
we
man.
the rules before we play.
Yeah.
Justin, just because you're bad at checkers doesn't mean you can change the rules.
All right, listen. All right, don't talk about checkers. All right, it's not a good story. So what's pissing you two off, besides being in lockdown?
Well, I'm not in lockdown.
Well, I mean, I work too, but I mean, it's still painful.
No, I actually I started a new job during quarantine.
Wow.
So
Good for
I
you.
was home for a year and a half, and actually started leaving the house when everybody else stayed home.
Yeah. And then I took off like 2 months from work because they were like, "Take off. We'll give you 2 free plane tickets confirmed anywhere in the world and pay all of your health care." I was like, okay.
Okay.
But like they cut us down to like, they cut 25% of our hours. They were like, "If you take time off when you come back, you'll be at your full time." I was like, "All right, let's do this." And then in the middle of being off, they were like, "Psych, when you come back, you'll be at the cutoff rate." I was like, "Okay, so can I extend that?" They were like, "No." I'm like, "Well, I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to be home." Yeah, so that's pissing me off. And like Liverpool should have clinched the league today if they would have
Oh my
played like assholes against
God.
Everton on Sunday.
Oof.
10.
You can't be
Yeah.
pissed off about not winning the league fast enough.
Yeah,
That is
Come on,
not-
you're gonna win. You're
It
gonna
was
win.
over like 4 games in. We all know it's coming. They're just dragging it out at this
2
point.
points,
Yeah.
2 points out of the last 8 games. Like it's awesome.
This is not the appropriate time for that. Different kind of time that we're discussing.
And I guess on that note, we're going to conclude episode 19. We appreciate our 2 special guests. Thank you for being on our podcast from all of us. Matt is surely missed. He had probably had some good stories to tell you guys, but we will all eventually get together again for a
Hey.
tailgate.
Hey, we finished on time, so there's that.
Well, that's true. Sorry, Matt, but we did finish on
Sorry,
time.
Matt.
We did not run into your tangents that you usually put us through.
We're gonna have to do an extra episode filled with Dre talking about his other podcast and Matt telling sappy stories.
Oh, do
But
you
that's
want
the
to?
whole episode.
Before I fully close out, Dre, you want to just drop that in? It's a welcome to the Bundesliga. It's a super smashing podcast about German soccer.
If you haven't
Definitely
heard
tune in
about
for
it.
that. We'll add it to the show notes for sure, as well as the show notes will be included with Steve's podcast, possibly. If that's fine.
Yeah, off
Okay.
the perch. We haven't recorded in a really long time because there's nothing to talk about.
Yeah, we know. We feel the same way.
Yeah.
You've been running into.
But again, appreciate you guys being on. Thank you, and enjoy the rest of your night.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Oh no.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of Post and Pints. If you want to join in on the conversation or follow us on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, that's at Post and Pints Podcast. And remember, the banter is free, but the beer is not included. Drink responsibly.